Iglesias. Nakita ko yun. Diba ba? Hindi ba pinag-isin ko natin?
Try pero wala na.
Oh, no. Be standing on the moon shadow.
So 100 wala nakukuha. Wala kang other light? Hard to see. Wow, look at that. Wow! Don't cloud, that's fine. Kung mo lang makuha sa setting mo, technology.
Five, four, three, two, one. Observe the horizon. rising.
Nakamadaya din.
Well, give us the middle.
Oh, there's Venus!
Venus overhead.
Venus to the right of the sun, 2 o'clock position, guys.
Is that Mars just like half a degree to the left? Or Mercury?
Yep, that's Mars.
Mercury to the left or Mars? I only see one small planet. That's why I want to stay.
Hands up.
Mars.
Glasses on. Glasses on.
Where's your glasses at?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Glasses on.
Diamond ring.
On.
Okay, go back and look at the shadow hands again.
Ano ka na nangyari sa akin? Nag-take the filter mo. Na ako doon. Tanggal ka yan. So, speakers diamond ring. Tala ko kayo sa tali. Jesus.
Boy, that was quick.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance. And with me today is Imelda Joson and Edwin Aguirre. And they are longtime friends of mine. And they are a couple that has chased eclipses around the world. And they have tons of interesting stories, lots of tips. And they're real experts at this kind of thing, especially experts in getting a larger community together to witness an amazing event, such as a total eclipse of the sun. There's a lot. I mean, they have done so much for so many years, and I've known them since maybe late 80s or early 90s. And so, but they're wonderful people, and if you don't know about them, you're about to get a nice inoculation of these two amazing individuals. But let me just read a few things about them, and then their bios are extensive. That what I'm going to do is just kind of jump in and ask them some things about in different parts of their bio. But right now, I'll just say that they are former editors of Sky and Telescope magazine. They worked there for, Edwin was there as associate editor for a dozen years. And Imelda was the magazine's photo editor and image archivist for 11 years, so quite a while. They're both veteran eclipse chasers and astrophotographers. They're not only astrophotographers, but they're just great photographers as well. They've done a total of 12 solar eclipses, eclipse expeditions, 10 total, 2 annular. And then with these 2 more eclipses coming up, I'm sure they're going to have another annular in total. Their eclipse chasing adventures brought them to distant places such as Indonesia, the Philippines, Baja California, Turkey, Zambia, Egypt, China, the French Polynesia, and the Caribbean Sea aboard a cruise ship. They observed and photographed the sun spectacular corona. They've also been part of Sky and Telescope's tours to Rome, Italy, to the June 2004 transit of Venus, kind of a mini eclipse. I guess you might put it that way. But they both have written numerous articles on astronomy and astrophotography, and they've been published in print magazines and online news websites such as Sky and Telescope Astronomy and Space.com. I'm going to go ahead and bring them on. We'll talk about some of the other things that's in their bio, but let me add them here. We're now live from their home And you're in Massachusetts, right?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Suburbs
Okay.
of Boston.
Great. Well, thank you for coming on to our show, Eclipse Experience. And tell us a little bit about the video that we just showed.
Okay, that was the video of the eclipse we shot on August 2017. We were in Riverton, Wyoming,
Okay.
and if I remember correctly, we got 2 minutes 16 seconds of totality.
Right. Right.
Yeah, which was just a few seconds shy of because we were not at the exact central line. We decided to observe the eclipse from the parking lot of our hotel.
I see. I
Make
see.
it more simple.
Yeah, to keep it simple and
Keep it simple. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because the
right.
central line, it goes through a farm, and there's no shade, no
Bathroom.
no bathroom,
No bathroom.
That's important, Scott.
It is
We
important.
sacrifice about 8 seconds of totality to get all the convenience.
Right.
To a raspberry farm.
Yeah, so
Oh,
and we didn't want to haul all of our equipment there, so and then back.
Right.
So,
yeah. I loved the commentary, about seeing the planets out and all this experience. These are some of the things. I was showing your video to someone here in my office, and I said, this is really an excellent video, shows a lot of the structure and detail, but I said, even as nice as this video is, the experience of watching this video versus actually really being there,
mhm.
I mean, it's 100 times better. I mean, there's just no way, the feeling of the air getting much cooler, the oddness of the light, which is really tough to
Yeah.
capture in photography.
Yeah, we always tell people that you have to experience the eclipse.
Yeah.
No photograph, no video can compare to the real thing.
That's right.
It's watching totality is giving you sensory overload because you
Right.
feel it, you see it, and you can hear, the reaction of people,
Sure.
the
Reaction of
reaction
animals.
of wildlife. Yeah,
It becomes sort of an electric feeling for me, and I think everybody gets that. I've talked to other people about this and trying to watch it and trying to do photography at the same time is really, really tough to do because you either need to be really focused on photography or just sit there with your jaw open, and be amazed. You guys know all about that.
I think after 12 eclipses, Scott.
Yeah, I only have 3. Okay, and I'm happy to have the 3 that I have, but they are addicting, I think. So
yes.
They are. They
Yeah.
are.
so
In fact, we would recommend for anybody who hasn't seen a total solar eclipse. I mean, one is coming up in 2024 in our own country here, and it's an opportunity for them.
Yeah,
to see.
people who missed the 2017 eclipse, here's your second chance.
absolutely.
And it's something not to be missed. At least experience one in your lifetime, I would say.
And I have to say,
Absolutely.
Scott, the first 2 eclipses that I observed, or we observed. Yeah, we observed.
Sorry, we do that all the
Tears
time.
were running down my cheeks as I was photographing the eclipse
Yes.
or videotaping the eclipse.
Yeah.
Yes, you
I
found
can
it to be a
understand.
very spiritual experience.
I mean, to be standing there under the shadow of the moon, just gives you a better understanding of celestial mechanics. And
How
it's
everything
just-
has to be perfectly aligned for you to even
Yeah.
witness totality.
Isn't that amazing? I guess that the moon is like about 1/400th of the apparent diameter of the sun, but the sun is 400 times further away or something.
Yeah.
So
So it's
But not the apparent diameter, actually the real diameter, 1/400th. And so it's like this perfect. I mean, who could design something like that? I mean, and I understand what you're talking about. It's spirit. It can be very spiritual. Certainly feels that way for sure.
Yeah.
And you witness something like this, it's like, wow. Because I don't know. You guys would probably know this. There's nowhere else in our solar system where we could experience something like this.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe from low Earth orbit or something, but
not enough to block the sun completely. And
Yeah,
we're very lucky.
Yeah.
we are lucky.
Yeah, and to think about, the feeling, it's a virtual overload of the senses, basically what you're seeing, and then also how you feel, because like in Baja, California, we had
1991.
that was almost close to
Almost 7 minutes.
7 minutes of total.
Yeah.
And the measurement we had was a 10-degree drop in temperature.
Yeah.
So you feel it, and then you can see the sunset colors all around you,
All around you.
and
Yeah.
the approach of the shadow. While it's like a storm that's gathering
Yes.
on the horizon.
And then you hear the birds. It's for them. Their biological clock says it's daytime, and then all of a sudden,
Nighttime.
yeah,
A lot of people think that it gets like completely dark during a total eclipse if they've never seen one, and it doesn't get completely dark, but it's I have a very tough time explaining in words what it really is like. It's this the sky's getting really, really kind of blue, darker blue. And right around, almost you get to the sun, it starts to look black, okay?
Mhm.
And then, of course, then you've got the corona and this amazing solar blossom that's out. And it's just...
Scott, as people experienced it, as you get closer and closer to totality, it's like having a celestial dimmer switch being turned
Yes.
on. And then what's amazing is everything gets sharp. Everything looks really sharp, the shadows and everything. It's because the sun is becoming a slit instead of a disc. And so everything looks sharp, and then the stars would come out, and people are surprised that they can see stars and the bright planets.
Oh, yeah. They
didn't realize
it was
only
daytime.
there.
Where the stars must be gone, right? But they're right there. And the planets, as you guys pointed out.
Yeah.
That's right. You guys have been all over the world chasing these eclipses. How did you get started? I mean, how did you guys meet? How did you get started? Why? Because this has become a big part of your life.
Yeah,
Right?
it dictates our.
There's not a lot of couples out there,
as we like to tell
that do
people.
this.
Yes, we like to tell people, Scott, we let Mother Nature plan our vacations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we go where eclipses go.
Transit of Venus, eclipses,
Yeah.
those kinds of stuff. Aurora borealis. So how we got started? Well, without giving our age or giving away our age,
We first met.
and through the Philippine Astronomical Society. We were living in the Philippines back then.
Mm-hmm.
And our mentor in astronomy were two Jesuit priests. One of them, Father Francis Hayden, he's a Jesuit astronomer from Harvard, and he got his PhD from Harvard, and he became the director of the Georgetown University Observatory before moving to the Philippines. And he had led eclipse expeditions that were funded by the U.S. Air Force. So Father Hayden showed us his 16 millimeter
Film, not video. Sorry, film.
of the eclipse.
Eclipses.
Movie film. Yeah.
We were really fascinated by it.
It sounded very exciting. It's like an adventure, going to other countries and watching the eclipse.
Yeah, you think about all the old time early 1900 expeditions by scientists, and bringing equipment, capturing photos and videos. So Edwin and I wanted to try that.
Yeah.
And we because how we got involved with astrophotography was we were already doing astronomy, and we were trying to get people to observe with us, but nobody wanted to stay up the whole night. So we ended up photographing the moon and the planets,
So we can share it with people.
and deep sky objects to share with people. So we got fascinated through Father Hayden, and we saw
Yeah, one day we were at his office, and on his desk was a copy of the U.S. Naval Observatory circular on the upcoming solar eclipse. Yeah, this was before Fred
Fred
and
Espenak. Yeah.
and Anderson published their own eclipse circular. So it was originally published by the USNO, and lo and behold, there was an eclipse coming up later that year. That was the June 11, 1983, total solar eclipse in India.
Okay.
And we were, teenagers back then.
I feel underage, so
We had to get permission from her parents to travel. So
Yep.
that was
Oh,
our
yeah.
very first international travel. And so we were all excited. And that was a long eclipse. It's like,
Wait a minute. You guys are both teenagers, right? And so you're going to go, your parents are going to let you go on an eclipse to another country?
well, there was an adult who was with us, who was a
Okay.
member, of the Philippine Astronomical Society. So that
All
was
right.
the very first expedition. Just the
Still,
three of us.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was a leap of faith by your parents, I think.
Three of us, yeah. And so
Right.
we went there, and we didn't have, there was no internet, so everything had to be planned at the last minute. But we made it, and that was our very first expedition. And so to speak, we caught the eclipse bug.
The eclipse bug. That's
Yeah,
right. You
so-
sure did. You
Yep.
sure did.
And so we've been, trying to see as many total solar eclipses as possible within our lifetime.
yeah. But the biggest one that we were still kids back then, that we kind of handled was the 1988 eclipse in the Philippines, in Mindanao.
That's right. Now, you guys got real involved in astronomy and helped form, or maybe formed, the Astronomical League of the Philippines, right? Which we did a program for just recently.
Well, actually, James was the one who founded it, but
Okay.
We
James-
supported.
yeah, we supported him.
So you
And-
gave a lot of support. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I know
and
that.
he actually got involved in astronomy because of us. Well, most of the members of the Astronomical League, they were,
Okay.
they
was-
were,
He was a
Yeah.
protege.
yeah, he was a protege. He was hanging out after our book signing and lecture at the bookstore there after we released our first book,
on
Wow.
Alpha Comet.
Dice Comet.
Yeah.
And so we recruited him and the others. So they became very active.
I see. I see. We'll talk about your books here in a bit, but you guys have also, I know this, you guys have even gotten like the president of the Philippines involved in programs that you guys have done. Would you say that the people in the Philippines are like naturally interested in astronomy and science in particular, or was this something? How would you describe that? I mean, because you've put together some amazing events there, and of course, then you have your whole life here in the United States, and you've done so many things here too.
Yeah, well, in the Philippines, education is very, very top priority for everyone.
Mhm.
But during the time that we were there, astronomy itself, it was not an easy subject to be involved in. I mean, my own parents, my dad, didn't want me to become an astronomer simply because I'm a female. Secondly, it's not it's not going to make you
You're not going to make
Not
money.
many options
Basically,
for
yeah.
jobs.
Yeah, sure.
and then we could even import telescopes in the Philippines back then. Books were hard to find. Subscribing to Sky and Telescope and Astronomy was
Very
really
expensive.
not just expensive, but very difficult. But Edwin and I were very ambitious as kids, and so we kind of use our little charm as kids, and we
Okay.
got the
The
government involved. We got the government's support. That in fact, many of our travels and expeditions were financed by either the Philippine Airlines or a philanthropist in the Philippines,
Or-
because
Or the Department of Science.
or the Department of Science, because they want us to basically inspire a lot of the younger people there.
Now, this book that you guys wrote about Halley's Comet in 1985, is that right?
Yes.
84, 85? This was am I reading this right? It was the first book on astronomy ever written by Filipino authors?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I want to tell you, Scott, the real story.
Yeah, tell me the real story.
Oh no, without giving my age, without
Uh,
my age, please.
So at that time, I was still courting Imelda.
Okay.
And so I asked her, so for your upcoming birthday, it's special, and what do you want to do? And she said, I want to write a book on Halley's Comet. And I said, what? Write a full book? And she said, yes, it's coming up the following year, 1986. And
Okay.
she said she wanted to do the, what do you call that?
The book launching.
Book launching on her birthday.
Okay.
So I only had a few months to go. So I said, since, you're trying to impress the girl.
Yeah, right.
You get her to say yes. So I had to do everything. So
Oh,
I
man.
did it. And the two of us worked on it together. And that's
With a
Okay.
manual typewriter.
Underwood
Oh.
typewriter on
Oh, my
the,
God.
we didn't even have a desk before. So we were using the ironing board. And so,
is awesome.
we typed the copy. And at that time, there was no word processing. So you have to use carbon paper.
Right.
And use whiteout for you make corrections. You remember
Thank
those?
goodness for whiteout, right?
And then, so finally, we finished the manuscript, and we invited some government officials. One of them turned out to be
He's the he was the president of the World Meteorological Organization of
And
the
the-
United Nations,
and the head of the
of
Philippine Weather Bureau.
head of the Philippine Weather Bureau.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We didn't know him, but it was funny how we invited him.
We just
And
went to his office.
we went to his office and we said we wanted to invite you for my birthday because we're launching.
Oh, wait a minute. How old? You're what, 20?
No,
19?
no,
18.
wait. We were still underage when we wrote the book. That's what it-
17, 16, something like that.
Mhm.
So he said yes, he was coming, and I couldn't believe it, and he did. He came.
And we
Okay.
had book launching in her driveway.
Yeah, we had a book launching in our driveway.
I love that. I love this story. It's great.
He was looking at the manuscript. We had it hardbound,
Yeah,
Okay.
and he
typed it up
said,
and sent it to a shop to bind it into a book form.
and he
Okay.
said,
Yeah.
well, do you have a publisher for this? And we said, not yet. So he said, can you come over to my office tomorrow? We did. And he asked us to write a proposal. We didn't know who was going to publish it.
Yeah.
And then a few days later, he came back to us and said, I got you some funding to publish the book.
Wow.
It was the National
was the
Research
yeah.
National Research Council of the Philippines.
Holy smokes. So
So
you guys have got to be like super
Yeah.
excited about this,
Yeah.
right?
So we contacted the press printer, and we worked on the book for a while. We
Updated
We
everything.
updated everything. We expanded the book. And so
And-
then our formal book launching happened. And
The actual book,
yeah,
365 pages long.
yeah. And it was
Wow.
a very funny incident because when, we organized,
We did press releases.
yeah, we did press releases.
We did everything on our own.
Yeah. And so during the book launching,
At a hotel.
the people thought, because there was a lot of VIPs there and the media was there. And so they thought we were
Wow.
ushers and usherettes, telling people where to sit and where their
Welcoming
tables are,
them.
welcoming them. And when we were introduced as the authors, everybody was shocked. The governing body of
I can
the
imagine.
Research
I
Council.
can imagine these two kids come up,
Yeah.
okay,
And they
and
said
probably all the academia that's in the Philippines is
the
there.
president, I think it was the president of the National Research Council of the Philippines said at that time, she said, if we knew you were just two kids, we might not have funded the book.
But they based it,
They based it on the manuscript.
on the manuscript.
Uh,
So, and that got us elected as the youngest members of the National Research Council.
wow.
Mm.
Wow. So
And then
that's awesome.
Halley's Comet was approaching, and then in early 1986, I think,
Yeah.
a private company offered to publish a second edition of the book. So we actually have two editions.
So do you have the copies of the book in your
Um,
library there?
I don't think it's up here.
I can get it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
He might
Yeah, let's see
really-
it. Let's see it. I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah. Do you have the
Awesome.
two editions there?
I think so.
Yeah. The funny thing is when we moved here, we only have one copy of each, we found out. And we couldn't buy a copy because it was sold out already. Our royalty, instead of getting royalties, we decided to get copies and donate them to the public school system.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. And
Wow. Well, what an amazing story, and what a kickoff for you to get into the major leagues of the astronomy world, So,
yeah, that book opened a lot of doors for us.
yes, that's right. That's right. And you and Edwin have written how many books since that first?
Just that for now.
Just that. Okay. All right.
Yeah, because remember we ended up writing a lot of articles for the major newspapers in the Philippines.
Yes. And the magazines
and the magazines, and then we became editors at Sky and Telescope.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Well, I have to see this book, but
Here,
let's.
funny story about it. So there was a used book dealer here in the U.S. selling a copy, and so I went to their site, and I
Okay.
called them and I said, "Why is it so expensive? This didn't used to be that price. This used to sell for $25 a copy." And the person who answered the phone said to me, "Well, it's because it's signed by the authors."
They don't know that they're talking to the author.
I didn't tell them that.
That is funny. That
Yeah.
is funny.
Yeah. So I think we must have presented it. It said it was presented to a NASA scientist at JPL. And we gave several copies to people at JPL.
Yeah, I wonder if Steve Edberg has a copy of that.
Steve Edberg has a copy of
He
it.
has a copy. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
So was Don Yeomans and Ray Newburn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are, for the audience, if you don't know who these people are, they're leading scientists, planetary scientists working at JPL NASA. So it's, Don Yeomans, I've met him on a couple of occasions. But these are people that really understand the so-called dance of the planets, the orbits, and and the dynamics of what planets are. So, but it's an amazing story. Imelda, you have during your time with Sky and Telescope magazine, you were the photo editor, the archivist. What an amazing job to have, because you're seeing the evolution of photography, astrophotography.
Yeah.
During the last Global Star Party that we did, we had one of our presenters show an image that they did with a very modest telescope and a modest camera and all the rest of it. And I took the time to look at Henry Draper's shot of the Orion Nebula from 1880. And then it just started making me think that, God, it was just only a few years that photography was improving, but it seemed like that astrophotographers were pushing the envelope because they needed better emulsions, they need better equipment, they needed, and it went very, very quickly, So if you look at from 1880, and that sounds like a long time ago, but that's not a long time ago, right?
In fact, Scott, I gave a talk about it was it in Philadelphia or the one I think it was
UC
in
Irvine?
UC Irvine. I gave a talk about the history of astrophotography, and I did show from the daguerreotypes to the present.
That's very good.
And yes, I got in trouble for that because
You got in trouble.
I got in big trouble for that because
Oh.
in the end I predicted the demise of film, and astrophotographers will be very
Yeah, they went
into
up in arms.
and
said,
yep.
Imelda Joson, photo editor of Skype.
She killed film for astrophotographers
They quoted her as
and destroyed Eastman Kodak at the same time. Yeah.
And I said, no, I didn't say film is dead. I said I
That's how
feel bad.
the rumors
Um,
spread.
Yep. But as a photo editor, that was something
It
big.
carried-
Oh, yeah. Well, anything that you say, you're from that platform, anything that you say is magnified about 500 times, right?
Yeah. But the funny thing is now, several years down the road,
The
no.
people who complained,
are also using CCD
Of course.
and DSLRs.
and DSLRs.
Yeah.
Yes, all those CMOS cameras and everything. They're still, you don't see very many people using film anymore, except for, I'm learning now that film is making a little bit of a comeback
Yeah, a little
for a
comeback.
long exposure, like star trail photography and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's very interesting. But
Luckily, we haven't disposed of our film cameras yet.
okay, so you have the book, right?
Yes, I have the book. Here it is.
Let's see, the
let's see.
second coming.
The second
Oh,
coming,
wow.
1986.
A beautiful cover.
Comet
Yeah.
Halley's second return this century. And we did the artwork too. There you go.
Very nice, very elegant looking. Very
And
nice.
on the back is our photo.
Oh, look at that guy.
And look at how young we were.
Yeah, that's right. These two
So-
teenagers.
Yes. So I was so skinny at that time. So anyway, the funny thing was
Very nice.
when this book came out, we were looking for it at the bookstore in the Philippines, the largest bookstore in the Philippines.
Yeah.
We couldn't find it in the science section. So we finally asked the sales lady, and she said, "Oh, I know that book. It's under the religion section."
Oh, because of the second coming, right?
The second coming. I said, "No, it's about Comet Halley."
Not a comet. It's not about Jesus. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, we came up with the title. 1910, 1986. So the second coming.
There we go. Well,
And
that's-
also, I wanted to show you. Here's the second edition of the book. So they took out
oh, okay.
some of the subheadings. They made it shorter,
Hmm.
and so here's the paper bound. And
Yeah.
also,
Still with your photo on the back?
hardback.
No, it's a different photo.
It's a different.
Oh, okay.
Different phases of our astronomy activities.
Hmm.
Comet West in the background. So
West, I see.
yeah. So anyway, those are the books. And the funny thing was one time recently, Imelda was looking at
Oh yeah.
you
I told them the
antiquarian
story
books?
about that. Yeah.
It's-
I didn't buy it, by the way.
I think it's
Signed by
awesome.
the
You should have
author.
bought it.
It was too expensive.
$25. It's
No, no,
worth.
that was how much it sold back then. But now
Oh, I see.
it was
What did they want?
way more than that.
Way more, like $100 or
No, it was double or something. But
50.
I'm, I don't go for that.
Hey, it's signed by the authors.
signed by the authors, so that's right.
So anyway,
Well, that's very
so
cool.
those are the books.
Oh, and the stamp you want to show?
Yeah, I couldn't find the. Also, aside from the book, we also designed and proposed to the Philippine Postal Service
Hmm.
a commemorative stamp to mark the return of Halley's Comet. So they approved it.
Wow.
And I couldn't.
And you guys got it?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it was released during the time of Halley's closest approach to Earth.
Wow.
So we did a lot of things, crazy things. So we also, with the help of the Manila Observatory, we put a time capsule at the moment of the perihelion passage of Halley's Comet. We buried the
Don't
time
say
capsule.
that because we were supposed to be observing
Yeah, so
close.
We were supposed to be
I
observing.
know, but we were supposed to be.
So we it
Closely
was
observing.
buried on the grounds of the Manila Observatory. So hopefully it will still be there when the comet makes its return in
Oh, I see.
2061, I think, if I remember correctly. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so we'll be long gone.
You guys plan to be around for that or?
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
I mean, medical science is doing a
Yeah.
lot of.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Clone of
Amazing.
ourselves.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So
So, and you guys also, it says here in your bio that in the early 1990s, that you guys conducted research on the high vacuum thin film metal coating of telescope mirrors in the Jesuit-run Manila Observatory.
Yes,
You
because
guys did coated mirrors from 6 to 12 inches.
mhm.
That's great. So you guys had a lot to do with just the overall astronomy community in the
Yeah.
Philippines.
yeah, we were doing a lot of
Yeah.
outreach, public stargazing, and yes, that there is a whole nice and funny story about telescope making in the Philippines because
Mhm.
we, as I said, importation of telescope is very, very hard back then. So a lot of people were making their own scopes, but there was no way for them to illuminize the mirror that they were producing. So Edwin and I proposed to the Manila Observatory. We said, well, we're going to go try to find a vacuum coating machine.
Okay.
And so we found one from Starliner
In Tucson.
in Tucson.
Oh, yeah. I remember Starliner.
Yep. And we called the director of the observatory and we said, this is too expensive for us. Would you like to split the charge with
The
us?
cost,
And,
yeah.
the cost. And it'll be half owned by the observatory and then half owned by us. And so they agreed. But the question is, who's going to run it? They said had 10 PhD students that we sent to Australia to learn high vacuum technology, and
They were not successful.
they were not successful at it. And we said, well, we'll have Bob Goff train us.
Yeah, the late.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Bob. Very nice
Yeah,
man.
Hextech Corporation.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
met him at RTMC.
So Bob trained us. We bought
Mm-hmm.
the machine and shipped it down to the Philippines.
Actually, he showed us a demo on how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, Bob did not go with you to the Philippines?
no,
No,
no.
no.
Oh, okay.
He trained us for like 3 days to a week here.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
Then we
And-
dismantled the whole.
yes,
The whole
we
machine.
dismantled the whole
Wow.
machine. And when it got to the Philippines, the director said, when we opened the crate, he said, these are in 6,000 little pieces. How are you gonna achieve 10 to the -7 torr
Yeah.
Vacuum.
of vacuum with this? So Edwin and I, we started early. I remember that day at 6 o'clock in the morning till midnight. We
Before that, before we disassembled everything, Scott, we labeled everything.
Smart.
We know which one goes with
Which
what.
piece?
yeah,
Very
Edwin's
smart.
very good. Edwin's very
So
good.
just having a bunch of wires and nuts and bolts and
Yeah,
right.
Edwin's very good with puzzles. So I didn't doubt him on that.
So I was able to put it together, and
Yeah.
then we ran the vacuum pump.
We put it together.
Yeah, we put it together and the vacuum pump, and it was running like a full week already, and it wouldn't go down to the
to the
one.
tour.
Until
So-
-7 tour.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
we couldn't
So-
achieve high vacuum.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so we were already begging for liquid nitrogen from the Philippine Atomic Energy Commission. We
Mhm.
didn't have a door container, so we had to put it in thermos
An
bottles.
ordinary thermos.
And Edwin said, "Do not
Spill anything.
spill anything on
I'm
me."
just putting it on my lap, and I said, I don't want to have any frozen popsicles. So she had to drive slowly.
Oh my God.
No, because
So-
the vacuum coating machine has
Yeah.
a
Backflow.
cold trap,
Yeah,
and it prevents backflow of the oil from the diffusion pump. And to prevent that,
Yes.
you have super cold liquid nitrogen to prevent it.
yeah. And so, we look like two mad scientists
All
in
the
there. And
vapor coming out.
yeah, and in fact, at one point, one of the Jesuit physicists who was passing through said, "Hey kids, you might be producing X-ray all over this place because of what we were electronically cleaning."
Okay.
Yeah, we
the
were using
mirrors.
high voltage and
Yeah.
everything. So anyway, for a while they gave us liquid nitrogen, but it's expensive. So the Atomic Energy Commission said, no, we can't give you any more.
Before we go to that, we had to figure out why we cannot achieve
Oh,
high vacuum.
Yeah. What was the problem?
Micro leaks on the metal itself.
Yeah.
So we decided to.
So this is like was it like a bell jar that came
Yeah,
down?
yeah. bell
yeah.
jar.
So the bell
Okay.
jar is big.
And then so you had a seal all around the bottom, and there was
rubber
leaks.
gasket,
Yeah.
but then
Leaks
all
coming in there.
the mechanical part for the pumps and everything had
Yeah.
welded joints, and we said there might be some micro leaks
Yeah.
along the joints, and we didn't have a
So the crazy idea.
helium leak detector
Yeah.
at that time.
So the crazy idea was, let's use Glyptol and paint the whole thing with Glyptol.
Yeah, so we used this electrical insulation as coating, and we coated the whole thing, and
Okay.
suddenly the pressure dropped
Boom.
to -10 to the -7. And so we were so happy. But
Yeah.
then
But then we had another problem. No more liquid nitrogen for us. So we decided to go to the ice cream factory and buy some dry ice.
Dry ice.
Yeah.
Okay.
dry ice.
And then after a
Not
while,
as cold, but
yeah, they said, well, we can't sell
no, dry
it.
ice and
alcohol, yeah. So that was what we were using.
Okay.
And then after a while, they said, we can't sell you dry ice alone anymore because we use it for ice cream. You've got to buy ice cream, at least a gallon.
So we can get free dry ice. So the refrigerator at the Manila Observatory is full of ice cream. Gallons and gallons
And
of
while
ice cream.
it's pumping, while the machine was pumping, we were eating
Try
ice
to
cream.
consume as much of the ice cream as
That
possible.
was our breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, it kept us going. So
Yeah.
finally we achieved high vacuum, and we started coating mirrors, and it was fun. She liked it very much.
Yeah.
When she opened the bell jar,
Oh my God, the smell
the
of
smell of fresh aluminum coat.
Mm.
an SIO.
Yes, and SIO.
Yeah.
So what was the biggest mirrors you guys did? I mean, again, this is kind of an amazing thing. You probably had the first vacuum coating machine in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are doing the first telescope mirrors in the Philippines.
Yeah, we did the spectroheliograph of the observatory.
Yeah, we coated the mirror.
Okay.
They trusted us to do that.
So,
Wow.
so that was our part of our research. We wanted to start an optical industry in the Philippines at that time. So,
Mhm.
commercialize the manufacturing of telescopes.
Don't talk to Scott about
Oh,
that.
sorry. Telescope.
No, it's
Regular
fine.
telescope is-
It's fine. I mean, today in the Philippines, I know that you can buy
Mhm.
Yeah,
very
now
nice optics.
Yeah,
okay?
it's changed a lot.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, was your influence into this area, did it affect optics manufacturing? You think there's any connection there?
Well, the government changed for
Oh,
one.
the administration.
The administration for one, and then secondly, we got a lot of people in the government and in the private sector involved
Okay.
and we were directly being supported by the Secretary of the Department of Science,
Yeah.
Department of Energy, Education,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem
and
is
the Office of the President.
yeah, and the only problem, Scott, was it became clear later on that it's much more cost efficient to just import telescopes
Right.
and other equipment rather than making it.
Yeah, but even now, I mean, it's there is optical manufacturing. For instance, I know that we buy some sports optics ourselves from the Philippines. So
Yeah.
it's not that industry's not huge there, but I have to believe that somebody, there's some level of connection that goes back to when you first started doing this back then. That's very fascinating.
Yeah, and also the fact that we decided to migrate to the US, so
Yeah.
nobody continued after we left.
I see.
Except James's group, who's been doing the outreach. They've been
Yeah.
doing fabulous job on
No,
the
but
outreach,
telescope making,
especially
it's-
with the National Astronomy Week celebration.
yeah, but telescope making sort of died out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, even here, right, Scott?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there are custom, short run type of things. I mean, you've got guys like Roland Christian from
Mhm.
astrophysics, who, he's doing it here in the United States. There are master optician types that make big, mirrors for like Dobsonians, that kind of thing. That still exists here. That's something that the United States does very well, is that we do short run manufacturing, which is really hard for some other countries that want to make 10,000 of something or
Oh, yeah, it takes time
50,000 of
because-
something.
Edwin and I, Edwin designed the grinding machine and
Grinding polishing machine.
grinding and polishing machine. And
That's so cool. That's cool.
Yes, it took a lot of space. Luckily, my mom is very, very supportive of our efforts. That we turned the
See
entire
this, see
house.
this polishing machine in their living room and go,
Yep,
get
yep,
that thing out of here. You know?
yep. And sitting in the dining table was
Can you
the
get a picture of the telescopes?
he's gonna.
Yeah, you guys, I know that you have a presentation, so I don't want to get into your. I
Oh,
don't
no,
want
no, no, that's all right. He's gonna get the picture of the telescopes. One of them, in fact, was inaugurated by President Aquino herself.
Okay.
But
Wow.
we were here during that time. And one other telescope that we built was ordered by somebody, by a German anthropologist who was moving to Mount Tambourine in Australia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he brought it there, and then one was commissioned by the Philippine government.
Now, Imelda, as famous as you guys were, okay, and in the Philippines, and you of course traveled. I know that you traveled back and forth to the Philippines. What was the big reason that you left the Philippines for the United States?
Well, for one, Edwin's family was here already.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I
and
see.
secondly,
That's an important one.
we wanted to do more. As Dr. Quintanar once said during a visit, he minded when we first left the country. We told him that there was a lot of things, corruption in the Philippines and all that, and it's kind of not science was having a hard time moving forward.
I see.
And so he said he minded at that time because we were contributing to the brain drain. But during a visit, and he called a press conference because we were visiting. And he told the press that at that point he didn't mind it anymore because we were not for the Philippines alone, but we were for the world. And imagine us becoming both editors at Sky and Telescope, was
I
just a
see.
big thing for them. And in fact, you almost hired me, Scott.
Well, he did hire you,
Yeah.
but I couldn't keep
Actually
you.
did. Yes, I was hired by Meade, but Edwin was hired by Sky and Telescope.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of at that point.
No, I totally got it. I totally
Yeah.
got it.
So I said-
because you were going to come in as like a customer service technician type of person, and Edwin got this amazing job at
Yeah.
Sky and Telescope, so you had to go that way. And
Yeah,
I totally,
and
so I have no hard feelings. I thought it was amazing,
Yeah.
so.
I held several positions at Sky and Telescope. I was first hired as production manager for books and products,
Mhm.
and then I became customer service manager, and I worked in special projects. And one of the special projects I worked on with Roger Sinnott was I proofread the Millennium Sky Atlas.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Right.
then at that time I was also photo editor already.
So as an archivist, how far back? I mean, Sky and Telescope magazine goes way back, 1940s, 50s,
Oh yeah,
41.
41. So
but
were you
the-
archiving astrophotographs submitted to the magazine all the way back to day one?
Yeah, even images that were not used, and I was there when we were deciding, because we had filing cabinets. The whole basement of one of the buildings was full of images,
Tens of thousands.
tens of thousands of images.
Wow.
And
These
they
are all
were
on
very
film,
important.
or was
Yeah, on
done with
print.
film.
Film, slides, prints,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I actually
drawings.
visited some friends at the National Geographic Society at their archives there, because we were talking, how do we deal with digitizing the prints
Right.
and the slides, and I couldn't go with like, okay, this is high res for us now, because what may be high res back then is not high res 10 years
Sure.
later.
Also the image format.
Yeah.
Right now it's JPEG. Who knows? In the future it could be a different format. And if you save all the files at using a certain format, then you might not be able to open.
Yeah, you can't even read it, the file.
Show it quickly, just,
Oh.
so we can go back to Eclipses. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah, this is the Eclipse.
So this is one of the telescopes we made.
Oh wow.
It's,
Wow.
this was before we got the vacuum coating machine, so
Okay.
there was no way for us to coat the mirror. So we bought a 17.5-inch mirror from Coulter
Coulter, sure.
in Idlewild. So
Yep.
we went there and we got the mirror and we built a Dobsonian telescope for it.
Mm.
But the funny story about this Dobsonian,
Yeah,
the gentleman right there
Yeah,
next to
the
me,
one that,
he is a German anthropologist, and
Okay.
he wanted it made out of wood. So we
Okay.
did a wooden Dobsonian,
and he brought it down to Australia.
so the funny
Wow.
thing is, while we were
Heavy.
holding onto that wood telescope, as we were bringing it to the parking lot, one of the priests at the observatory said, "Did anybody die?"
Because they saw this long
It's
box.
like a casket. Oh my goodness.
So anyway, so that was a Dobsonian design, and that was for a private observatory in Australia.
Hmm.
And so the secretary of the Department of Science and Technology heard about the telescope, and he said, "Why don't you build one for a museum in the Philippines?"
It
That's cool.
actually became the biggest telescope in the Philippines.
At
Yeah, right.
that time. So we did, and this was what we
Wow.
So it's another 17.5-inch telescope, Newtonian. Oops, sorry.
Wonderful.
But it's on a German equatorial mount, all handmade by us.
Oh man.
And
It's a big
that's
deal.
why Imelda's mom was so wonderful, because she let us use the dining table as a workshop, the garage, and everything else. And here's another.
Oh man.
So that's the telescope.
And of course, Scott, we were not allowed to handle some of the tools, so my uncle had a hand on it too.
Yeah,
I see.
especially the welding part.
Sure.
So
Right.
those were the two telescopes we made while we
So
were still
as
in the
teenagers, we didn't go to movies or
parties.
but we were building things, and
Right.
Yeah, you were doing some amazing. You were changing your lives and the
yeah,
lives
we were writing
people in your
articles
country.
for the newspaper.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
That is awesome. There's more that I could be talking about. Your current work and all the rest of it, and we can get into that here a little bit. You do have a PowerPoint that you wanted to run through. I did want to say, recognize you guys as that you have a named asteroid is 6282 Edwelda. Okay, right?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a combination of our names, and
That's awesome.
It's like Edwin welded to Imelda. It was Brian
Marston was the one who came up with
he came up with it. Okay. Yeah,
But
Brian
the
Marston was a
asteroid
great
was
guy.
discovered by Caroline Shoemaker in 1980.
And the citation was done by David Levy and Steve O'Meara.
Oh, okay.
They're good friends. So
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, why don't I let you guys roll into your PowerPoint presentation?
You said this was going to be very informal, so
Yeah,
we just
absolutely.
share
Absolutely.
screen.
oh
Is
yeah,
that you
share
need?
screen first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
If I can find my
files. Oh
Yes.
no, not files.
Oh, I think I need to open the other one first. Let me,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you have to open the
yeah, I have to open the
platform that you want to share first.
other. Okay. Okay. Where is it? Is it on? Oh, it's
On
on
the desktop.
Okay, here it is.
Yes.
Okay, and
Okay, can you enlarge it so it's not showing the rest of the okay. Got it.
now let's see. Go back to Zoom.
You can always tell when people are going to share something on Zoom.
Yeah.
They get this far away look, and their arm is like reaching into their computer.
Let's see. Where is it? Zoom.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
And
Oh, no, that's not the one. Come, I don't.
Scott, he's lost.
No, I can't see the share screen.
We can't
Oh,
find
you have to go back to the Zoom
Go back.
platform.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay, got it now?
Yep. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're starting to share.
Okay.
Now should we enlarge this?
Yeah, you take it to presentation mode.
Slideshow.
There you go.
Okay, from the beginning.
Perfect.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so these are some of our shots of the corona we've taken. I believe this was we didn't label it. That's the problem. So I think it is 20.
That must be Egypt. No.
No, 20. I
Well,
would
you
say
can-
2010.
You can tell, based on the shape of the corona.
Yeah.
But
Wow,
so
look at the
going,
size of this refractor.
going back to 1988,
Yeah,
we
this was-
decided to organize an expedition and said, and found funding for members of the Astronomical Society.
Yeah, because our feeling was that here are dedicated amateur astronomers based in Manila, the capital city, and they can't afford to go down to the southern island of the country to see the eclipse in their own country. So I said, let's do fundraising and bring as many people as we could. And so we were able to raise enough funds to buy plane tickets for 16
Yeah,
16 members of
Oh,
the
wow. Okay.
Astronomical Society. So we also collaborated with the Manila Observatory in bringing some of the equipment, which is like, I think this is a 6-inch refractor.
Yeah.
F-15, I believe.
This
Scott?
was the last expedition of Father Haydn,
Yeah,
actually.
so, and the 1988 eclipse was it's kind of challenging because the island of Mindanao, there's an ongoing insurgency, in that part of the country, and it's been going on for decades. And the eclipse, if we remember correctly, happened to coincide with the
Founding
founding
anniversary.
anniversary of the Moro National Liberation Front, which is fighting the government at that time.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
you've
these
got-
guys have like automatic weapons, right?
Yes.
Yes, those are actually, that's a platoon of soldier that was
Assigned
to us. Because we also have the high altitude observatory group observing with us on the roof of the
Yeah, and
city hall.
so we did a
Site inspection.
site inspection the year before, and we met with the local soldiers, the Philippine Constabulary, the local vigilante
The provincial commander, the
Yeah.
local vigilante group,
Wow.
group. And we sort of informally talked to them and
and
negotiated.
Yeah.
We said these are the people coming to see the eclipse are non-politicians. They're all scientists and
Yeah.
ordinary people. They don't have any vested interest in
The funny
politics.
story, the funny story there, Scott, was we suggested the formation of a national committee, Solar Eclipse National Committee. And so the Secretary of Science says, yes, we're going to form a national committee, but it's going to be headed by Dr. Quintanar, because he's the head of the Weather Bureau.
Okay.
It has to be a government official. So we said, fine, as long as we have a national committee, because we need people from armed forces to support and make sure that everybody's going to be
for
safe
security.
down there. The
Yeah.
Department of Tourism, we needed to make sure that people are going to be able to bring in their telescopes without being harassed by customs agent, thinking that they're smuggling telescopes into the country.
And
So-
immigration too, because at that time, there was still this East Bloc countries and West Germany trying to come to the Philippines to observe the eclipse.
Yeah.
So anyway, about 1,000 foreign astronomers
Wow.
went out to Mindanao to see the eclipse, and fortunately, everything went smoothly. There was any untoward incident that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were concerned about ambushes, kidnappings, threats to security. But as you can see, we have a couple of American eclipse chasers.
Yeah, actually, one of them is an astronomer.
Yeah, and they posed with the platoon of soldiers that was assigned to our observing site, and they have M16 rifles.
And a 50-kilometer
Wow.
perimeter
Yeah.
security. And not just that, we were really a high value target because the president decided to go down to Mindanao herself.
That was President Cory Aquino in 1988.
Wow.
So we had 24-hour platoon of soldiers watching over the observing site, making sure everything went smoothly, and everything went well. And this is the group from the High Altitude Observatory in Boulder, Colorado. They wanted to do some scientific observations of the eclipse, so we helped them make arrangements to observe the eclipse with us at the rooftop of the City Hall at General Santos City.
Yeah.
in
So aside
South Cotabato.
from taking care of the expedition of the Astronomical Society, negotiating for peace and order during the eclipse, we were also tasked to go to the airport and stay there with the customs people, and
As-
also
as
welcome.
tourists arrived in
Yeah.
the country. So that was this is the group from the High Altitude Observatory led by Dr.
Richard
Dr.
Fisher.
Richard Fisher, the one on the right. And we also got a local camping supply company to
Yeah.
Okay.
to be a sponsor and provide all the tents, sleeping bags, t-shirts, caps that we needed. Yeah, these are some of the tents.
So that's
that
the
they provided.
roof of the city hall.
Yeah, it's called Blazing Products.
Okay.
And this is the city hall. It's very large.
Yes, huge.
Yeah, and the roof deck was flat. So we were able to set
Perfect.
up all of our telescopes there. And this is the setup of the high altitude observatory. And
You
also,
remember Roger Tapio?
yeah,
Very well.
yeah, so he was there with us. Yeah, and he brought solar screen filters, and he was making filters for everyone. So
For
he
the
was
locals.
yeah, for the local, especially
Wow,
for the
that's so
local
cool.
people.
Yeah.
So he was very generous.
He was,
Unfortunately,
Roger
the
Todd Hill was a very, very nice man.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Edwin's gonna kill me for this, but at the last minute, we had to tell him, how would you like to observe with the president of the Philippines,
Cory Aquino.
Cory Aquino? Because
Okay.
they gave us the choice to choose. Choose about 10 people who would want to observe with the president, but they can only be informed at the last minute.
For security
Yeah,
reasons.
for security reasons. And Edwin and I ourselves declined to go because she was observing outside
the city.
the city, and there is a volcano next to the observation site, and we predicted the weather is not going to be good. You're going to have clouds.
Clouds
Okay.
forming.
And so we told Roger that, and he said, well, I've seen so many eclipses. How many times have I observed with the president of a country? So he went, and the director of the Manila Observatory went with her. And so when they came back, they were all like, oh my God, we kind of wasted everything. And there we were, like,
Celebrating.
so tired, but celebrating. And they said, you saw the eclipse? We said, yep, there was a cloud hole over us. And they miss it, but we did see the eclipse.
But Roger was happy. He was able to see the eclipse with a head of state. So
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. They were only 10 kilometers away, but
Yeah.
that made a big difference.
So high altitude observatory and our team saw the eclipse, and even Daniel Fisher was there, and his friends. So
Hmm?
oh yeah, this is part of our
That's
1991
91.
in Baja. We were doing sort of public outreach because
Yeah.
the site where we observed is it's like a retirement community for American expats.
Okay.
So they didn't have a clue what an eclipse is, what's going to happen, and so we
Sure.
gave a talk the day before, and we brought our Philippine flag together with U.S. flag and the Mexican flag in the background. So this is some of the residents there, full-time residents, and
Oh, this is Egypt.
sorry, we were jumping all over. Oh yeah,
That's all right.
yeah. These are some of the shots we had taken in Egypt, in El Saloum.
Okay.
which is next to
Yeah, look at the prominences that you can see. The thing is, too, it's important to point out, this is done without a filter. To see, you can see prominences like this with the naked eye during a total eclipse, you know. And so I expect the sun to still be fairly active in 24, and I think we're going to see effects like this. So
it's getting more active
See,
now.
when you go on
this is the one in 91.
trips, on eclipse trips, Scott, you don't just see the eclipse, but you see the place itself, and you learn a lot about the place and the people and
Culture,
the culture of the people,
sure,
the food.
you make new friends.
Yep.
make new friends.
And,
That's right.
The eclipse chasing community is relatively small, so people tend to,
See each other, like
Into each
be
other.
connected,
we
have
were
a
driving
reunion.
back in-
Right? All over the world,
All
right?
over the world.
It's, who's that? Our friend from Arizona,
Oh,
Daryl.
Daryl Nye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daryl Nye, yeah, he was a good friend too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he and
this
his
was our
wife
yeah.
traveled all over the world.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he
he and
and
Denise. Yeah.
traveled a lot for eclipses. And this
Mhm.
is Egypt.
As you can see how crowded it was. And
Oh yeah.
this was I believe 2010.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Wow, that's beautiful. Look at
yeah,
this.
this is the processed version, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We
Tahiti.
we also did some sightseeing after the eclipse in French Polynesia. We
Yeah.
went to
This is where Captain James Cook observed the transit of Venus.
in the 1700s.
Oh wow.
So
Huh.
there's a marker.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the mayor of
And-
the atoll
And his wife.
and his wife.
Yeah, it's a small atoll in French Polynesia. This was 2010.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's our tour group.
Yeah, we've been leading tours also. We've been invited to lead tours. And they have presentations like this.
Cultural presentations.
Yeah, even in Africa, we had that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we do our outreach also. And so this time, can I mention, Scott? Is it all right?
Sure.
The telescope, yep, Celestron.
We were able to
Yeah, we
convince
were
them.
able to convince Celestron to donate a telescope to the school kids of Tatakato Atoll. And so we
Wonderful.
presented them with the first telescope, although they were looking at a coconut
coconut tree.
tree.
Right.
So because we felt that there were only like 200 plus permanent residents of the atoll, and they're
Oh.
blessed with some of the darkest, clearest skies in the world, and
Wow.
yet they don't have a telescope to explore. The
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
So
You
we
need
got
that.
a 90-inch refractor and donated it to them, and these are some of the pictures.
Yeah, so we got some clouds at the beginning.
Hmm.
It cleared up just in time. So
Wow.
yeah, there were some thin clouds, but it didn't spoil the view, and that's us.
Oh,
And
right.
we still have the U.S. and the American flags. We bring it everywhere we go.
Do you?
Lucky
Okay.
Eclipse flags, so
Uh-huh.
partial. Oh, this is the 2010.
See
That's
that?
great.
Yeah, this
And
is
this is
no,
Wyoming.
2010, 2017
Yeah, this is 2017.
in
Yeah,
Wyoming.
in Wyoming.
So this is the parking lot of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So now you understand why we didn't want to, because we had a lot of heavy
And
equipment.
Canon sponsored.
Sure.
And Canon sponsored us with two
Telephoto.
telephoto lenses.
Very nice.
Yeah, 600 and 800 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
So we were lucky. It cleared up just in time. I think that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yeah. Every eclipse is different. Every eclipse has a story to tell.
No two eclipses
Yeah,
are
no
alike,
two eclipses are alike.
exactly alike.
Well, if we had much more time to prepare for this, we would have put in a lot more photos. But tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and we had a lot of deadlines to take care of before this. But like one of the fun eclipses we had was on board the Vindam in the Caribbean Sea. And the maneuvers we did there was just, everybody was just like, what are you doing? Why are we doing a figure eight? One
In
of
the
the
open
cruise
sea.
ship, one of the cruise ship that was in the area was blowing its horn and probably saying, what the heck are you guys doing? You're going against, you're
shadow.
gonna lose seconds of totality. But we had to do that because of the wind. We were dealing with 25 knot wind.
Oh,
And-
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
on
it
the
was
deck.
hard to set up tripods and take steady pictures. So we
Yeah.
decided to go with the wind, but against the shadow of the moon. So we lost a few seconds,
And the
but
contact times are changing for us. But
we got perfectly calm seas, clear skies. So everybody was
Wonderful. Yeah, and being on a ship, you actually can, because you're moving, you can move to where
Oh, yeah, we did.
it might be better.
Yeah.
So where you're landlocked, this is
Well,
this is
not
something that
really.
we talked about in another program of Eclipse experiences. When you drive somewhere, especially if there's a lot of people, you're probably going to find it tough to leave if you find that you've got clouds coming, or adverse weather is coming. And if you've got a 2-lane highway full of cars, okay, it might be very difficult to do that. So, I think it might be interesting to be on a ship and see an eclipse,
Or a private plane.
Or on a plane.
or a private plane,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we did
If you
that.
got some runway to get out, right? So,
Yeah. In 2017, our friend offered to go, and he had a plane, and so we had
Okay.
to figure out alternate sites.
yeah, right.
Yeah, but with the runway that's close by the central line.
Yeah, unfortunately, he got sick, so he wasn't able to go. So
Yeah.
he missed the eclipse. So
Oh, that's
Yeah.
too bad. And you got lucky and you saw it. So
yes,
Yeah.
that's great. That's
So
great. I was in Casper during that time, and the day before we had a thunderstorm, and so I'm just like, I'm getting kind of nervous, going, wow, right? We got a thunderstorm today. Let's pray for clear skies the next day. And that's exactly what happened. But
Well, Scott, even in Egypt, I mean, it's the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
During the eclipse there, they said, "Hey, this is the first time we've seen rain, like in years."
in years.
So, but the one that never had to worry about the sky, two
Mhm.
places, I would say, Baja. Yeah, that was really cool. Baja was cool, 1991, and Zambia in Africa.
Great.
mm,
Okay, so out of all your experiences and everything, all right, and maybe we can do this in just a few minutes. What advice are you going to give people, okay, that have never been to an eclipse before, okay? What advice, what are the top 5 things or 3 things or whatever would you advise people in seeing their first eclipse? And we got, 2 nice eclipses coming up.
Well, if it's in this country, you're okay to go on your own. But if you're going on an eclipse trip abroad, it would be better to be with the tour group, because the tour groups, they would
take care.
take care of everything, where you're going to be observing. They have tour leaders who are experienced in eclipse chasing, and they can figure out,
They'll help you.
yeah, they will help
Any
you
questions?
with any questions, and if you want to do even if you want to even photograph the eclipse, because you go to an eclipse, everybody says, oh, first eclipse, don't do any photography, just watch the eclipse. I don't know, I'm a photographer at heart, and
It's hard to resist.
yeah, it's hard to,
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
and
So
you want to go to your friends and say, hey, look, I took a picture of the eclipse, and also now it can be computerized, you can program it,
yeah, have an automated setup, so the camera will take pictures on its own. It's pre-programmed, and so you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy. But for those who are ranked beginners, yeah, I think try to observe it, and with the naked eye or with binoculars, and enjoy it as much as you can.
Yeah.
Because since this is your first time, it's going to be more memorable for you if you're not too busy fiddling with the camera controls and everything, and just enjoy the eclipse.
One of the things that Edwin did for the 2017 eclipse, he had a GoPro.
I see.
Yeah, I just set it on the ground, low on the ground, and pointed it up, so you can see people in the foreground, and then you can see what's happening in the
So
sky.
did you do like a time lapse, or you just ran it in real time?
Well,
I
he
just ran it in real time, and
I see.
And the nice thing is you can do screen grabs from the video.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you don't even have to worry about taking pictures.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you decide to do photography, it's going to be a big decision for you to do that, because you don't want to overdo things. We've seen astrophotographers with complicated gear, so many cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
Like
you know,
half dozen cameras
and
all
then
at
they
the same
fail.
time.
Right.
I mean, Edwin and I, sometimes we bring a tracking mount. And the problem is sometimes we're limited to how much equipment we can bring.
Yeah,
And
because
so
of,
we only bring
airline restrictions.
one tracking mount, and then we split it between us. And sometimes you see, like in the video, it's
Oh
shaking.
yeah, the video at the beginning, there's some shaking. It's because the video camera is mounted on the same mount as Imelda's, camera. So every time she touches the camera, it shakes the
Oh, yeah.
It's the
Here, I
video.
could
Yeah.
run it just
But
on
because of
my.
that's because of airline restrictions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because of
Yeah,
baggage.
so you can see a little
Yeah.
bit of
A
vibration,
little shake. Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
That's how you should photos.
Because Imelda has to adjust the exposure, the settings.
Yeah,
And every time she touches the camera, it shakes the video. Ideally, you would want two separate mounts, but because of baggage restrictions, it's
right.
hard.
Cost,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also, if you have more check-in baggages, there's a greater risk of losing your equipment. So
Yeah.
we try to keep it simple.
That's right.
And, compact, but you sacrifice stability.
Right.
Yeah. So for first timers, all we could say is go out and enjoy it. And as soon as you see the first eclipse, then you can no longer consider yourself an eclipse virgin,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Yeah. So
That's
then pretty soon you'll be asking, so when is the next one? That's always the question after totality.
Oh, I know. And so, for us, it's going to be, I've got this little, right behind me, constant reminder. We've got the October 14th, 2023 annular eclipse. It's going to run from Texas all the way up to, the Northwest, Pacific Northwest area. And then the total solar eclipse is going to come across Mexico, heading on up out through the eastern seaboard area. And that one will be utter mayhem. I mean, there is going to be so many people that will see that eclipse. So they say something like 3 or 4 times the number of people that saw the 2017 eclipse. And I remember in 2017, NASA was calling that the greatest science event in human history.
Mhm.
This one is going to, blow that one away. So,
I hope a lot more people will take the opportunity to see it, because it opens their mind to astronomy in general.
Yes.
And have a better appreciation of the night sky, and appreciate a better appreciation of our planet.
And especially young kids, teenagers, when they get inspired because
Yeah.
of the celestial phenomena, then they would start thinking about their careers in the STEM field. So this is a good way of introducing.
Well, that's what happened to you
astronomy
two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Scott, I have to say, because of light pollution, a lot of the kids now are
losing it.
deprived of that ability to, or that well, not just the ability, but to see the night sky and
Right,
the Milky Way.
and be fascinated by it. I mean, when I got involved with astronomy at a very young age, it wasn't because I was looking at the stars. It was because there was a comet up in the sky, and I was looking for my mom, and she was in the room with all my aunt, with the window wide open, and they had binoculars, and they were looking for a comet at sunset. And I said, "What are you guys doing?" And my mom said, "We're looking for a comet." And I was a kid, and I said, "What's a comet?" And my mom looked at me, and she said, "It's a witch riding a broom."
Wow.
And I go, okay. So I was there, windowsill with my eyes, thinking of the Disney witch riding a broom thing.
Yeah.
Scene. I didn't see any witch riding a broom, but later on, when it got darker and darker, I saw the stars twinkling, and I was there until 10 o'clock at night,
Past your bedtime.
past my bedtime. And all I could do was run down to the bedroom, get in the volume C of the encyclopedia to see what a comet is. And of course, I didn't understand most of what was being said, but it pointed me to volume A, which is astronomy. And then I fell in love with it.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful story. And you guys have had great success in your lives. Had so many adventures, have made so many friends. I feel very fortunate to know both of you.
Likewise.
But every time I get to, I've been to your home and we've been able to run into each other from time to time. But I'm always amazed at your adventures and how you got started and all the rest of it. That's a book in itself, I think. So maybe you should consider writing it. But
there was a reporter who interviewed us, and I like her title of the article, "A Match Made in Heaven."
There you go. There you go.
So we had it framed. We did a clipping and had it framed.
Maybe
That's
I should
wonderful.
argue with Edwin. So then if he asked me, how can I make up for it? And then I could say, well, let's write our second book.
There you go. On the anniversary, your next wedding anniversary, you have to do this. So
Yeah.
maybe a great idea.
Yeah, next year.
Next year. That's
Yeah.
right.
Maybe next year.
Big milestone. So
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You're giving out our age.
no, I didn't say what year.
Okay.
So
It's not the 100th wedding anniversary.
No,
I
no,
kept it.
Imelda, okay.
We're still
But
young.
trust me, when you get to 100, you're not going to care. Okay.
We're still young and we're enjoying what we're doing. And I
Yeah.
said when even which is many years down the road when we retire, what we want to do is still do astronomy and science outreach and
Sure.
inspire the future generation.
Yeah.
Because when we were in Egypt and the mummy of Ramesses, the famous Pharaoh Ramesses, was at the Cairo Museum, and then we saw the gold of King Tut, and I said at that point, I said, boy, they were wealthy. Monuments were built, temples were built for them, but in reality, the earthly wealth was still there at the museum. And I said, to us, the way we look at success, it's not just about money. It's
Sure.
good to have money because then you can use it correctly, like doing
Oh, sure.
setting up a
Yeah.
foundation and scholarships and helping in the medical field also. But as I said, it's not just about money. It's making a difference, not just
Yeah.
with other humans, but the whole planet itself.
And you guys have, and it's great to know that you'll continue doing that. So
Yeah.
that's great.
We want to have a farm, an observatory in the farm, and teach the younger generation
Wonderful.
about astronomy and planet Earth. This is the only planet we have, Scott, and we have to take care.
So far. That's right. So far.
As far as we know.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We'll have you on more too, because we're going to be running this program certainly through 2024. As you mentioned, the Eclipse community is a small one. So,
But it's growing, Scott.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's right.
But it's like a family, that's having reunion every
Eclipse. Yeah.
in different places.
So if you're watching this program, you're looking for that kind of experience. You want to see some really mind-blowing, celestial experience. You could look no further than seeing a total eclipse and making friends and getting involved and helping out. Because it's going to change your life. So
Yeah,
that's
because
great.
like if you go on a trip and you're able to help out the locals, like what we
Yep.
did in Tatacoto,
Mhm.
it everybody on the group just enjoyed that. And it's not just them looking at the eclipse or looking at the scenery and taking in the culture, but to be able to help out the people there, also.
Yeah, Harold Locke, watching on YouTube, says, thanks so much for telling us your story. And thank you, Scott, for the show today. So, well, it's the audience and my presenters that come on that make the show. So thank you very much. We've got a couple of little mini videos here about eclipse safety and what you should do. And I do, a good friend of ours, you and for me too, is Jay Pasikoff, who recently passed away, who we think that he might have held the world record for seeing the most eclipses in a person's lifetime. Saw 74 eclipses in only 79 years of life. So it's pretty amazing. So, but anyhow, thanks very much. And until next time. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
Scott.
you.
Yep.
Thank
All right.
you.
Take care. Take care.
Bye.
Good night. So it's a beautiful sunny day, and we have our refractor out, and I've got my eclipse glasses on, and I've got my safe solar filter. Of course, the eclipse is not here yet, but I wanted to take a few minutes just to show you some things about solar filter safety. The filters that we use is the Thousand Oaks material. It is rated to the highest ISO standards, and actually independently tested by us as well. So just to make sure that those standards are met. So if you're going to use a telescope to look at the partial phases, and let me underline partial phases to you. You use eclipse glasses to observe the sun in partial phases when it's in total. If you're going to be on the path of totality, you can take the glasses off, and only during that time, which is going to be roughly 2 minutes this time on August 21st, only during that time can you directly look up at where the sun is, because it's completely blocked out. You'll see the corona, you'll see, lots of really cool effects they'll leave you speechless. But during all the partial phases, you have to have safe solar filtration. So how do you do it properly? Let me show you. First off, let's show you what you shouldn't do. What you shouldn't do is put on eclipse glasses and look through the telescope that's unfiltered. And I'll show you exactly why here. We're going to point the telescope directly at the sun.
Mas maganda kasi ini-recommend ka 107.
And right now, we have sunlight coming right through the eyepiece. I can turn that up a little bit. If you use solar glasses and look right at the filter material, you see it's already burning. It's burning a hole right through the solar filter material. That is how powerful a telescope is. So this is definitely something you don't want to do.
You can now see that there is a hole through there, and that could be your eye. So this is what can happen if you think that you can use eclipse glasses to look through unfiltered telescopes or binoculars. If you do that, the sun's energy is going to burn right through the filter and burn right into your eye. So if you're going to use a telescope or a pair of binoculars to watch the partial phases of a total eclipse, or just to observe the sun to look for sunspots or something like that, make sure that you are using an over-the-lens solar filter that has the proper ISO safety rating and all of that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this filter on. It's you can see how snugly it's fitting here. This is not about to come off, but you know, if you have a loose fitting filter, use tape. Do anything that you can to make sure that the filter is not going to come off. And then the other thing is too is that finder scopes, optical finder scopes are like little telescopes, and they need to be filtered as well. In this case, I just have a red dot finder. There is no magnifying power to it, so I'm not going to use it to sight the sun in. The way I'm going to sight in the sun is literally as I'm going to look down at the shadow and align the scope up so I'm getting the smallest shadow possible of the telescope as it's hitting the ground. And now I can safely look at the sun in comfort and look at sunspots, and if we have partial phases going on in the eclipse, I'll see them all.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, production is good.